So I know you're thinking reading that title, there's no way some guy on YouTube is going to explain one principle in 15 minutes that could command your wife's respect, attraction, trust, and get her to come back toward you again, especially after everything she said. Well, you're wrong, man. And I've worked with thousands of men to prove my point. Husbands were cheated on, left for, and still found a way back to their wife's heart. All of that without therapy, scripted words, or needing to really meet them halfway.
She's literally just like, I love you. I want us to be back together. Can you please just give me a chance? I love you so much. It was just like, whoa, like, is this really happening right now?
My wife and I have decided to renew our vows and have an actual wedding now, and all that stuff.
Ryan. That is crazy, man. That is crazy. You really only need one thing, and it all comes down to a signal that you give her. Now, studies in psychology show women are drawn to this signal because it tells them you're strong, safe, and stable. Now, listen closely. Not only am I going to break it all down for you, but here's a twist. It takes less effort than the habits that have been killing her respect behind your back. So let's jump in. You must be tired of it, right? The eye rolls, the way she cuts you off mid-sentence sometimes, the little digs at you just to hurt you, press your buttons that sting. I mean, all of it. How is it that the same woman who used to listen to you deeply and intently when you spoke, who smiled at all your jokes, I mean, the woman that couldn't believe you chose her, now she talks to you like a coworker that she can't even stand. She looks at you like you're already gone, and it feels like you're stuck on a freight train barreling down toward divorce. Well, that ends here today, because in this video, I'm going to break down the S.T.I.L.L framework. There are 5 shifts that bring back her respect because they signal stability, okay? And the first step that can bring that divorce train to a complete halt, it is something so powerful that most men are really blind to it at first. Now, the S in the framework stands for solid ownership. Now, let me share a quick story with you. Mike had been barking at his kids for weeks. The stress of work piled on, the nonstop really noise in the home, it all got to him. I mean, every little thing set him off. He was just completely irritated. We've all been there. His kids spilled cereal, he raised a voice. They didn't listen to what he said the first time, threats. The whole house felt like just really tight around him, right? Closing in like a vice grip around his chest. And then one night, his 6-year-old dropped a juice box on the floor and completely froze. His child just stood there waiting for that explosion that he was used to having from his father. Mike opened his mouth and then stopped. He saw the fear in his son's eyes, in the posture, and everything. Mike took a deep breath in that moment and let out a audible sigh and then just smiled. He got down on one knee and said, "That's on me. I've been kind of grouchy lately, haven't I? That's not how I want to leave this house. You're allowed to make a mistake, and I am too, but I'm going to work on mine starting now." His son was just like, didn't say a word to him. He just smiled and then loosened his body and ran off. That moment flipped the script because Mike owned up to his own mistakes, and he started to show up as a father he'd forgotten how to be. And when a man starts losing her respect, the first thing he usually does is point at her attitude, is her distance, it's her coldness, everything except for yourself. But nothing changes when you don't look at what you've been doing.
She felt so safe when I was able to say, here are my values. Here's how I failed to live to them in our relationship. Here's how that failure affected you. Here's how it affected both of your sons. Here's how it affected my kids. It's not your fault. I wasn't living to my values before I met you. And that was powerful. That was powerful. That was the key pivotal moment for me individually and for us in our relationship.
I want to stay here for a second because that right there is extreme ownership, right?
Sure.
But it's like, it's pretty much the opposite of like that ego of like, you're her fault, not me, not me, not me. And you're like, this is about me and what I've done. Now, I'm trying to speak to you as if you were in the complete opposite domain of that. So solid ownership means you stop explaining and start correcting your own behavior. The moments you were lazy, dismissed her, and avoided tough conversations because you didn't want to deal with her tough emotions, instead what you do is you lean into her, right? Into the emotions and into life itself. That's solid ownership. And when you step into something, it changes. So with her emotions, it softens her guard. She reacts less because she sees a man who is in control of himself. But ownership is just the beginning. If you want to plant the first delicate seed of attraction again, you need to create an environment that will pull her back in. So the T in the framework stands for tension-free presence. Now, there is a distinct pattern that shows up in most relationships under pressure. It's called the pursuer-distancer dynamic. It's been given a lot of names, but that's the one we're going to go with today, okay? Now, one person gets anxious, right, and starts trying harder to connect, right, because that's what they need when they're anxious. So they'll text more, they'll explain, they'll try to fix things, they'll set up ways to just have these deep conversations. But the other person feels overwhelmed. They feel suffocated, right? The more you chase, the more the other person retreats. And it goes around and around, okay? And this creates panic, not connection. So if you're the one pursuing, as most men are in our program, it might feel like love, that you're trying harder, that she should respond saying, oh my gosh, you care so much, but it is pressure to her. She feels suffocated, okay? This is shown in the infinity loop. If you can actually see the pattern that plays out, you can actually pause the video and read what this infinity loop does. Those check-ins, they carry fear underneath, and she intuits that. The explanations, double text, it's like your phone is just giving off this message of please validate me. Please let me know you're there. I can't be empty and alone without you. So she doesn't have any space to miss you because the space was never long enough. Okay, so tension-free presence, what this means is you don't rush to fix the silence. When she withdraws or when the response you don't get, the one you hope for doesn't come in, instead of reaching out again, finding some excuse, overthinking the strategy of what to say next to her, right? She could feel that. Instead, give that space, change the dynamic. By literally giving space, you are flipping the dynamic back into the way it should be, where she's coming after you. Because in that space, she'll wonder why you stopped chasing her, and then curiosity will arise.
And then you give space. And if you do that, space is your friend, and I didn't ever think space would be my friend. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah, speak to that a little bit more. Like, for some guys, when you say that, like, that, I know they're going to get in their head thinking, how much space, when, what does space mean, right? So can you speak more to that?
And I remember there was a day, can't remember what she got mad at, validated it, went to get some body work done, came back, I could see she was a little bit calmer, went to give her a hug and say, hey, you want to take a walk? She was like, no, she was a little distant, gave me that, like, that sort of whatever look. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go for a walk. I left for a walk. The thing I realized at that time, if this was before this program, I would have been stressed out trying to figure out how do I make her happy again. I didn't give a shit. I went there and I had my walk and I enjoyed my walk. I liked looking at the water, didn't even think about it. I get halfway through the walk because it's like a loop. It's called Brickell Key. And I'm halfway through the loop and she's like, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm walking Brickell Key. She's like, well, I'm coming. Mimi, which way you going? You going north or south? I'm going north. Okay, I know exactly. I'll meet you halfway.
When you stop chasing, you stop that cycle, okay? You break that loop. But to have your wife look at you like you're in a safe place, you need to take this next step, which is called the internal anchoring. You ever notice how one little thing from her, like a cold look or short tone, or even her not texting back, it can just set off this immediate alarm where you start overthinking, you start panicking a little bit, right? I mean, you were calm minutes ago, but now because of one little thing, you're flustered, you're pacing, you're overthinking, you're completely in your head. So inevitably, you react. And this is where most men will fall apart, because even when they give space, even when they stop chasing, their nervous system, it's still tied to her mood. Well, the concept of internal anchoring, it corrects that. You can say it puts the still in the still framework, if you will. You stop letting her emotional waves toss you around, okay? You're unfazed when she pulls back. You don't explain yourself, right, when she throws a jab at you. When you stop the reactivity, that's when she starts to relax again, because she doesn't feel like it's like she's not babysitting your reactions anymore, where she has to be the one that has a stronger frame, right? Take care of you, have more strength in her masculine. Instead, if she could feel your steadiness, she relaxes. Now, Michael said it best in his story.
The way we fought, and we still do it. Oh, well, yeah, we still have those tendencies, but I can navigate them better because I have better tools, right? When she calls me a this or a that, I I just don't react, So we're in the past, like you said, I would defend and fight. So we just got back from a week, road trip with the kids in an RV. So we survived, made it home.
Yeah.
Moment she was in tears. Like she didn't want to rent the RV, and I did, and we did. And moments I know she wished she, wasn't there. But rather than reacting out of anger to her and her feelings and getting angry at her for having those feelings, right, is kind of where I would be in the past. Like, well, you shouldn't even feel this way. But no, she does. So But just absorbing that versus reacting to it, being a man and just continue leading, to the trip and back.
This is arguably the hardest one for guys to master, I would say, from my experience talking to thousands of men over the years, because you're battling a lifetime of knee-jerk reactions, okay? Some patterns in your subconscious mind, old habits of fixing, explaining, or trying to keep the peace at all costs. But you can retrain that part of you. Now, there's breathing exercises and meditation that have helped countless men in our program. I recommend you look into that. But the next time you feel that surge of panic or pressure rising in your chest, just pause, man. Step back. You don't take action. It's not going to hurt you to take a pause, okay, to do something different. Even just 10 seconds of reset can have you have a different perspective on what's going on and take different action, which will lead to a different result. Or as Coach Stacy puts it,
you're a man who's in control of his life, who leads with compassion and takes responsibility for his actions. You're not a needy boy who storms out of a room in a heated fit of rage, but a sturdy rock who can keep calm under fire and grounded in your masculine presence. She will be drawn to you and feel safe around you and be able to open up into her feminine self.
Coach Stacy not only described the power of internal anchoring, but she also dropped a hint at this next step. And it's what really makes you stop questioning who you are and starts respecting the way you carry yourself again. The L is to lead with values. John C. Maxwell says, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Now, can I ask you something? What kind of man are you when she's not watching? Really think about it. Pause the video and think about that. Really play this out in your mind. That's what the work is, okay? Pause the video. Now, when she's smiling or she's texting, what do you want to hear? But when she's cold and distant and checked out, when it feels like nothing you do can make a difference, that's where most men will vanish. They'll give up. They'll find reasons that it's hopeless, or they'll shapeshift themselves just to get some approval and validation from her. They're making decisions based on her reactions, canceling plans, re-explaining things, and they tell themselves it's love. It's not love, man. It's fear. It's the opposite of love, right? Leading with your values means you stop bending over backwards to make her happy or keep the peace. You say no when it clashes with your principles. A woman wants a man she cannot control, because if she cannot control a man, she respects him. You choose what's right over what's easy. You keep the plans you made. You stick to your word. You figure out what your values are and you live congruently through them. I can't underestimate how important this is. The more you anchor into that direction, the more you start to really solidify who you are as a man, despite what happens. That's when she follows. So, those values, let's kind of dive into that a little bit. So, do you know what your values are on the top of your head?
Loyalty, integrity, leadership, and I also have one as continual growth.
They're the kind of sign, like when you ask, like, who are you? Or she points out who you are, what you need to change. A lot of times guys feel lost, right? Because they don't understand my values. And how that practically looks is like in those situations where, let's say you made the wrong decision, whatever that means, it's because you felt kind of indecisive, right? What should I do, right? And that indecisive is what creates her to feel unsafe, right? Because she needs to be with a decisive man who leads. Leadership is one of your values, right? And so in that situation, when you're feeling indecisive, you think to yourself, oh, what is my value here? Oh, it's leadership or decisiveness or integrity. How does that apply to the situation? And it allows you to take decisive action. And that decisive action is aligned with who you are, right? And as we know, most values, most of the time, it's not so much like there's right or wrong values. It's that she needs to know who you are as a man, that you're stable, that you're certain, that you're safe, right? And so knowing your values creates that consistency that you mentioned earlier before that allows her to feel safer with you. Now, the best way to do this is to be challenged in a community. That's why we have a free call with our marriage evaluators to point out the blind spots in you. Just make sure you're fully committed before you set up that call with our team. Now, the final step in the S.T.I.L.L framework is what separates the man she forgets about to the man she cannot ignore at all right? Now, every husband who won his wife back in our program, every single one has this step in common. We'll call it liberated detachment to fit in the framework, okay? It's also about letting go. Now, I want you to picture something. In the movie Up in the Air, okay, there's this scene that I want you to check out. George Clooney's character gives a speech at a convention, right? And he sets up a backpack, right?
Imagine for a second that you're carrying a backpack. I want you to feel the straps on your shoulders.
Now he asks you to fill it with all of your stuff, right? Your dresser, your TV, your couch, your tools, your truck, everything that you own, right? Everything. Then he says, now imagine setting it on fire. I have a lighter right there. I'm not going to set it on fire, but he says, what would you actually miss? Think about it for a minute. You might miss some stuff, right? And then he hands you a new backpack. And this one isn't filled with things. It's filled with people, coworkers, friends, spouse, kids, everyone you care about.
Feel the weight of that bag. Make no mistake, your relationships are the heaviest components in your life. You feel the straps cutting into your shoulders, all those negotiations and arguments and secrets and compromises. You don't need to carry all that weight. Why don't you set that bag down?
That's the weight most men are carrying right now. You know, that pressure to fix, right? To prove, to win her back, right? To never say the wrong thing, to hold it all together, even when you're actually falling apart. And that's why they can't detach, because they're still trying to carry the entire relationship on their back. You know, this last step, this is where you finally learn to let go, okay? Not give up, let go. Big difference. Because honestly, what is really in your control in this situation? The only thing that's ever in your control is the way you respond. So stop checking your phone every 5 damn minutes or overthinking the right words to say to her, okay? Stop rewinding every conversation in your head. Stop chasing a response that makes you feel okay again, because the secret is to feel okay despite what's happening, as hard as that may be. And she'll be able to tell the difference. The man who needed her to come back versus the man who can lead and be okay despite her if she's in his life, because that's the man she was attracted to originally, okay?
That conversation when she said she wanted a divorce, like that's like the ultimate rejection right there. So it was like, it took a while to get over that, obviously. Like, I didn't know how to talk to her, you know, how to act around her. And I think being able to just let go, like that's the biggest mindset change. And it's the hardest thing to do, is like, by letting go, like I just felt free. And it was like, this is what I want to do.
This doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and effort, okay? But once you get to that place of fully letting go, that's where your personal power comes. That's where you're in your energy. You're good with you, okay? Now, I'm going to rant here a little bit, because the last thing that most men don't realize that they have to let go of, that I know I've personally struggled with, and so many men do when I brought this up, is you're holding on to her perception of you. Because you're taking it, and I understand why you are logically, but you're taking her rejection of you as that she perceives you as not good enough, right? Like you weren't good enough for her to hold this all together. That's a fucking lie, okay? I'm sorry for cussing, but like I really want to emphasize the magnitude of that lie and how much you have to let go of that. And you cannot control how she perceives you. And what is the most important thing here is knowing yourself. And I know she knows you to a large degree, but have you really been yourself in these past couple of years? Have you been your best self? Is she rejecting you, or is she rejecting someone that you became in the relationship? And the sooner that you can let go of, like, I need her to see me this way. I need her to validate that I am a good person. You know, she forgives me. I need that. I'm not going to say she's never going to give that to you, but you have to let go of wanting it. And instead, you have to focus so much on how much you just validate yourself, that you are a good person. I mean, surround yourself with other men that can see you for who you really are as well. That's why the program is so powerful, right? Getting close to these other guys and seeing like your own value in itself and having that tribe, it allows you to feel less needy for her existence and her approval, all right? But ultimately, letting go of the idea that you can't control how she sees you. If she's painting you as the villain, she's painting you as the villain. How much control do you have over that? Not much, do you? So let that go. Step more into knowing who you are, spending time with yourself, okay? And we have a whole community to help you if you need, all right? Here's another story of another man that saved his marriage, the guy that we shared on this video already as a clip. Thanks for watching. Separate call down below with our team if you need support. I got you, and I'll see you in the next video.